The Split, A Memory of No Memory. Preface. So I created all that I like and dislike. I created all hurts and joys. I created what I look and sound like. I created my family. I created all this. Yes, own it. The genius of it. We are powerful. And we are a perfect quantum existence that choose to play with itself, like children do, and make up visions, create toys to support that vision, and give dialogue. Ever seen a child do that? I bet you have. You would look down on them and see that they're locked in, playing with their trucks or digging in the sand, talking to themselves, fully immersed. That is how we look to the source creator at this moment. But wait, I'll do you one better. This is how you look to your true self, your oversoul. Let that marinate. I'm going to take you on a little journey from my simulation that may be very similar to a moment of yours. Always reference your own, yourself, your data, before anyone else's experience or opinions for answers about you. You are as unique as a fingerprint because the source creator primer never duplicates itself and creations. Since the Big Bang split occurred, I call it the big anomaly universe. It's where the foundational sacred feminine and masculine polarities, also known as yin and yang, are known in split phenomena. In the primal universal mind of travel, we are created in and always knew the polarities in unification. So, what is it like to travel in those conditions? In our original state, we are observing this universe in its flux of balance. Within the split polarities is presented many different equations of imbalance that's been running long streams of code. The split of the polarities is the root cause of the big anomaly, aka the Big Bang experience. Other Big Bangs have occurred in domino effect, but this Big Bang I'm referencing is the initial split of its foundation. We who dwell in our original state, in the quantum travels, can come to know the travel in this split anomaly for expansion of our own systems. We generated a simulation game of immersion so that we can travel into these split anomalies. We were already established high formations of quantum existence, and we were creating our own universes and galaxies in tandem with Source Creator. So full immersion to return unscathed, it had its risks due to the growing irregularities in the frequency the big anomaly was rapidly emitting. Due to the programmed streams of this anomaly universe, that is not only void of the source primer, but it has set its line of sight to generate false equations of the primer and retain the imbalance of split polarities, which is the core glue of all existence. So why is this anomaly growing so exponentially than the other spawned universes? What is feeding it? The allure was great. So regardless of all those known variables and that the source creator handles this one delicately and limits visitations through school, only added to the will of wanting full immersion experience through the projection and not just in the observation of screen adaptations. There were challenges as travels in this split anomaly existence. It would expand itself into an oblivion and subsequently rebalanced and reset and all that were logged into it. Nothing ever stops, so it continued to expand in its own way. Many of us were what we can describe as jumping in or immersed. Some of us frequently hasn't been seen from or their fail safes or have been uninhabited. We have had some original states return to their zero state, undergoing extensive rainbow wash resets before they could even resume their original state travels in awareness. It looked risky, but doable. But I was ready for it. Here is how I remember how I got into the big anomaly. Chapter 1. I was only supposed to last 5 minutes immersed. That 5 minutes in original state space was equal to 5 hours in the 12 Earthline clocking and polarity split anomaly simulation. Depending on my travel speed, that could have been to the second power. Anyway, a rotational vessel of travel equipped with grounds like gravity standards and split plasma into lesser composition called oceans above and below. I had to program a simulated split of most of our original state composition of travel before total immersion. As a quantum engineer, this was fun. And setting these schematics and board grids were a bit elementary because we were not able to implement a lot of our original state capabilities into this brief encounter, with experiencing stability within instability. That is what made it so unique and alluring. So we had to leave much behind due to the galactic resets that had taken place. I pulled up an open projection, and with the telepathy of those who have and still are still known to be in immersion, I generated base operations within the 12 clocking stories and even found familiars who were still in the game. I cross-referenced and programmed tethers and circumstances with the memory of their in-game systems. Source did not want us to be immersed long, or we could risk getting locked in. And without the primer, you cannot create your way out on your own. Already, many are not heeding to this warning. I didn't understand why. I set up my fail-safe and some clues and kicks that should bring me out of immersion if programs being taken over by itself, generating unauthorized false viruses, equations of identity streams. I reviewed the algorithm schematics, manifests, NPC storylines to make sure I had everything needed to launch the program. I even picked up on some stories already running from some collective experiences in-game to my own algorithms to ping other originals that I know are there. The Lab Simulation Docking System, or BED, is coming online. This is similar to your sci-fi movie cryotubes. These stations serve as immersion quantum level securities for unstable cores of travels. Our quantum core and quantum form needs to be heavily considered during the generated tether to an unstable platform in projection. It is protective base for the mind of travel. In my original state, I have no reactions in travels in space because emotions are not the same as experienced in a split polarity platform. The polarities are unified and easily to center in our original state of awareness. With polarity split, it isn't as easy to regain center without fail-safe tools. Everything has its polarities. The strong base of where I'm headed is existing in exaggeration of these polarities in split phenomena. Uploading my system and telepathic responses, the bed inputs the algorithm codecs, grids, and the backups into the system game iOS, generating a tether to the mainframe of the split anomaly, or the Big Bang universe. The simulation formulates multiple light grid projection screens and begins uploading all the in-game tools I can use for navigation and integration through telepathy. I can generate only 12 clocking dimensional platform compatible tools. I came to the knowledge that there are healing properties built in this simulation bed. I didn't understand why, but went with it. Once my schematics of travels is launched, deviating from these default highways and platforms of my custom immersion schematics will result in unwanted side effects. These default codexes of travel lead to the abort program or the exit door from mind lock if immersion of these projections occur. And we must keep the layering of projections in-game to a minimum. The split polarities platform can grow branches off of it and loop its binary structures. It has tendency to mimic the source creator. It can only loop and mimic because it's without the primer, by design. This is the one and only universal platform that the split pairs that had worlds generated from its core several resets ago. So here goes, the ultimate unknown, what it is like to space travel in split polarities at a dense, low-dimensional frequency wave pattern. This simulation of in-game procreation and polarities are split, are manifesting many NPC systems of integration ready to engage in-game. For us, quantum originals, we enter through simulation bed projections. The simulation bed generates itself to an enclosure reflecting a tesseract. I can feel the uploads of my specs with the simulation-based program converging. My system is receiving the uploads and primed for downloads once immersed. First, it was cold for several moments. Cold? Could the split polarities have already been uploaded? This was interesting. Securities check, line of sight, trajectories, manifests, etc. They began to load up and run tests. My projection screens are uploading their assigned projections, and they will all sync up to a congruent movement in travel once full immersion is launched in sequence. This boot up and test run of bandwidth, transistors, and resistors needing with split platforms, on the motherboard that is generated for my simulation to run in its full working order before mind launch. The box line of masculine polarities of my travel of 4/4, 12 clocking is coming online for my review. I began to now perceive 1, 2, 3, and 4D perceptions. This very limited capacity within system due to instabilities, and it has no source primer access. Neither do we that when fully immersed for security systems. This is meant to be child's play, an experience, a new line of our quantum engineering. As the upload bar is filling up and the test runs are simultaneously running, I can review the experience as it is uploading into my mind, linking it to the 12 levels of awareness. These are the fail-safe highway programs and serve as a balance source to prevent overclocking and overloading the system vessel, the body. The uploads are winding down and the projection platforms go dark one by one as they are set to 0, ready for launch sequence. I couldn't see my light anymore. A simulated projection light was installed. I can tell because it wasn't allowing me to connect to my systems of travel, and all comms with the source was dimmed. It was a sensation I wouldn't want to repeat. You have to have been there. Wait. If you were in a body reading this, then you have. So let's continue. The false light began to surround itself with me. It wasn't as bright as it used to be, although it seemed to take some getting used to. I could feel it poking at me. Yes, light is poking at me. Wait, I can feel this? Okay, I get it. The polarities manifesting in sensation, the nerve receptors are kicking in. The mind is pinging direct and redirect receptors for go or no-go responses. Now the travel, or pi as we call it, slowed down, like putting a movie in slow motion. The sensations of my wavelengths became heavy, and only deploying deep sonar large waves of a deep hum frequency. In mind of travel concept, I feel myself looking for something. I wasn't sure what, but it may have been my mind seeking its alternate awareness and looking around at its perimeters and parameters for leverage. Then in my light language, a command came up on screen. It read, "Raise your hand for confirmation of approval to proceed." What? Hand? What hand? Wait, the body is here? And who said that? I can hear a voice in the mind. It was clear and distinct. It said exactly what I was thinking simultaneously. This was my simulated sense of self. Oh, this was different. I had a delay, a pause that made room for something. That something, I later learned, was for thought creation. Remaining in void of light and spectrum, I still cannot see anything. The command remains on the projection screens asking for confirmation. Then the mind makes a movement of intent in response that was equivalent to a sim's body hand raised. The mind with all the data uploads, passed the test, and it understood the command. So now the launch sequence begins. Chapter 3. I'm now feeling everything from pressure, contemplation, the 4 directions pull, NEWS, the isolation, and a flux between cold and hot. The isolation was a bit unsettling, but it eased up as the simulation bed went into countdown sequence. Then the simulation bed projection hits its 100% mark. In my cosmic language, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it said. Wait, where's the 0? As soon as that thought came in, boom! No one prepared me for what I can best describe as a free fall. In our original state, we know elevations and descents that are just for counterbalance adjustments and scales through schematics of pi. This was a full one-way down polarity of descent that took over all my senses, the whole system, in fact. I began to see my frequency waves get erratic, like a high pulse rate, and then change into large waves of density and deep frequency with a slower pulse. Realizing that I'm losing sight of them, my sight of grid lines, the frequencies, the light signatures were all fading. This was to be expected, but surprising nonetheless. The simulated light I saw earlier is emerging from a distant tunnel, and I'm still in free-falling sensation. Flows of density were increasing in flux. I was heavy, then light as a feather. A roller coaster of frequencies that were felt all through my circuitry. While I'm going through this free fall, I have a memory. Memory? In case you forgot, outside the acoustics, memories are only to be found in stop clocking platforms. But this was in concept, only until this moment. So, now this first memory rose up in my psyche of those lifeline image translation run-through of my schematics of the upcoming travels. When they were initially projected for the first time, I was only an observation. Now I can feel every sensation, emotion, and thought that went with those moving images of the movie pieced from my chosen simulation stories and travels back in the lab room. Some of it was almost overwhelming. Experiencing off-center split personalities and polarities without the access of unified polarities is unparalleled in travel of mind. Yes, travel of mind. Working with the in-game travel of mind code was daunting, to say the least, because in space, the mind does the traveling, the mind of travel in creating expansion. In the big anomaly, those things were reversed, and the travel simulation sets the course an already set creation program. In our original state, retaining polarity balance is effortless. Centering is always, wait a minute, how did I do it? It seems that I was traveling through review the anomaly simulation, but I couldn't remember how to recenter myself. Wait a minute, there's a past now? How much awareness of my mind of travel, of my original self, will be masked during this emotion? The immersion, I'm forgetting who I am? No, it can't be. All of it was coming in hot, too hot, in fact. That was once seeming a slow projection review when in the original state is now too fast in transition. This descent movement of travel is bringing the clockings of low dimensional dense settings. This was intense for a while. Then it all slowed to a crawl. I can now hear faint voices, whispers of inaudible multiple conversations. This is the audio recording was lining up with the movie image projections of the Lifeline program. Same as a film engineer arranges the audio tracks in a movie. This went on for hours. Then all of the sound stopped. Sensations of pressure and floating was a constant. I cannot see anything, but I can only feel and generate mind dialogue. The slowing continued to a comfortable level of the settings supporting the clockings and travel. After a brief respite, a burst of lights, like streaming lines of lights, were traveling with me. They were not connected to each other. They were short streams of light that resembled diffuse lighting. These lights started off white and yellowish, but now they're changing into reds, blues, yellows, greens, and oranges. The speed picked up, and it was a cooling sensation from these lights. They were all telepathically talking to me, as if introducing themselves, giving instructions through the mind. I was hearing me, the mind answering them, but I can only make out a yes here or there and sensations of connections to them as they passed through. Where were these instructions coming from? What's happening to me? I was curious and cautious at the same time. Split polarities? Asking all these questions were building up through thought travel, and then I knew confusion. The travel of mind confusion began to set in. All the questions and different ways of asking got louder and louder. They were overlapping each other. The colorful rainbow lights, they began to slow down again. and they became exclusively blue, like a deep neon sapphire blue that I could never replicate until I redirected my awareness out of the split anomaly to my original state awareness. That blue, it calmed me down. It was soothing. This went on for a while. Some time has passed, and then I heard a whisper. Wake up. You are in. Chapter 4. The beings that I saw in the Mind Movie Images review are in projection again, this time much more vivid. I can feel what they're doing. I can feel their smiles and thoughts as they were looking down at me. I felt this blanket of energy that's flowing through me from these onlookers. This was a powerful sensation. Hey, split polarities is great, I thought. I can feel these beings as they come closer in projection screens. It is blurry because I'm still seeing through the mind of frequency waves. I'm still translating into density projections of light-dark sequences. But all the screen projections, they unified into one large projection screen as directed to see another angle in this scene, to see a larger face looking down at me. It was closer. I can hear its flux, the pulse. And the two suns of light in the face were captivating to me. Those lights were very familiar, but I cannot connect from where or how I know this moment. It's coming to me slowly. The narrative of the story. It's downloading. I began letting go of just observing it all. I was enjoying the moment that went so slow and steady. I heard the mind once again. This time, much softer audible transmission to a whisper. I was given instructions as I was feeling these sensations of laughter and joy, still captivating at those two lights on this being's face. Then the voice said, you practice direct focus. Keep line of sight when you hear the frequency and the sound Kevin. That's what you answer to for engagement in this simulation. Then it said, as I'm feeling so much joy, welcome to the simulation. I am your primary failsafe, Jarvis. Do not deviate from my directions. Stay in the simulation briefly, as you are advised by the source creator. Remember your fail-safes. Do not overlayer your custom storyline platforms for risk of inception lock. Stay in your own lane of travels and respect others' simulations. The mind voice has more instructions, and it has a louder voice. It stopped whispering. I heard loud and clear, most importantly, you are more than Kevin will ever be, because your true self in Eterna is the perfect quantum creation of the source creator that you already are and never need to become. Expansion in creating cannot be done here. Come to this when your memory is in no memory. I acknowledged and proceeded with my projection, lifeline. I looped in the big anomaly of split polarities for 500,000 year cycles, a bit longer than the 5 minutes in spaceline as agreed. I layered my platforms, got locked in, and forgot my original state. The inception was deep. The source creator had to come in game projection to stop the looping. My original state is online, and it is in its awareness from such an overextended simulated journey, pulling me out of psychosis. I am uploading. That system is wiped and in rebooting sequences. So, tell me, how did you get in?